Hello my loves and welcome to a new reading vlog. So I'm going to be doing a very long weekend. It's Thursday today, so I'm going to start it today, end it Sunday, and basically it's going to be a mix mash of books from two different readathons. So I am doing desertathon, I'm also doing royal readathon couples edition, so I'm trying to read some books from each. I'm very much in a romance mood, so if I'm going to be totally honest, I am very much swaying to just read some books for the Royal Readathon. So just to basically, I'm just going to show you options, and we'll wing it onto what books I definitely will read. But first up, we have Milo and Marcus at the End of the World by Kevin Christopher Snipes. I've got an arc of this and I've been really wanting to read this for a while. This is for the prompt, a book with LGBTQI plus rep, and it's like from this is the couple Mulan and Shang. So this is a male romance, and basically well, it says here, when the universe itself seems to be plotting against them, Milo and Marcus have to ask themselves just how much they're willing to risk for love in this young adult debut by playwright and creator The Two Princes podcast, Kevin Christopher Snipes. I've been wanting to read this for ages. It is a stunning book, and it comes out this month. I don't know whether it's out yet or not, but I've been really wanting to read this, and I have had a little read in the first chapter, and I'm very much liking the vibe. So I think I'm definitely gonna read this, and I think I might start with this first. But we have that. Then we have for Enemies to Lovers, which is Tiana and Naveen. I'm going to go and read the Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. So this is apparently between two characters, Olive and Ethan. So they basically go to a wedding. So her twin sister is getting married, and Ethan is the best man. And apparently they get married, but everyone at the wedding party, including the bride and groom, all get food poisoning. The only two who didn't was Olive and Ethan. So they basically got told to go to this honeymoon because otherwise it's a waste of money and everything. So they go. It's got the one bed trope, and the enemies to lovers, and yeah, I'm very intrigued. And it also says that they're forced to play loving newlyweds. So I think it's now like a fake marriage here as well. So I like Christina Lauren's books. The couple that I've read, I've loved. So I think I'm gonna enjoy this one. And then lastly, a book that makes you laugh. I'm going with The Love Hypothesis. I really struggled with this one, but I'm going with this purely because I've been wanting to read it, but also it basically has here, it's really funny. That someone's put funny, sexy and smart. Actually, it's Mariana Zapata, which is my favourite person. So and then also it's got a grumpy meets sunshine trope, which I love. So I'm going to go with this because I do feel when you have the grumpy sunshine trope, you have got that funniness, because you got the one that's so grumpy, then you got the one that's so fun, and just like the banter is really good. So I'm kind of hoping this will make me laugh. We'll see. So those are the three books for the Royal Readathon that I'm interested in. I'm definitely going to pick this one up first because this is how much I'm wanting to read it. I do have 3 books at the minute from Desertathon. I always say it wrong. So I've got An Arrow to the Moon by Emily X. Arpant, which is a Romeo and Juliet retelling. This is also a romance, so it's still got the thing. So this is an option. Also Harry Potter, but I don't think I'm going to read that purely because I don't really want to vlog anything to do with her. And I also am currently reading The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adair. I might have said that completely wrong. I'm enjoying it. Like, when I'm reading it, I am enjoying it, but I'm just struggling with the pronunciations, the names, and it's more of a I have to think, and I'm not in the mood to do that. So I think what I'm going to do, purely because I'm also worried I'm going to completely forget, I think I am going to do in this vlog, roll a few rolls in the board game of Desertathon and get some prompts, pick some books of it, and then I have another pile of books for that readathon, and depending my mood, I might read some of them with some of the books that I've already mentioned, or I might not, or it might set me up for another vlog because I want to do a few vlogs. So I think I'm going to do that. and then we'll go from here, because like I said, I'm in a romance kick, but I also need to get some prompts for this, because if I don't do it, I'm going to completely forget. So let's go and do that, and then at least I've got some other book options, and I've just got a few books, and I can decide what I want to read, because I am still mood reading and like going with how I feel. So let's go and do that. Here's the setup. So we were last on 32. And I would like to technically go through all of the board and then that's it, but we'll see how many rolls gets there. But let's go to the first roll, and that is 10. So, no. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that is a yellow, which is... oh, read a 5-star prediction. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. Right, roll 2. And that is it? Yeah, I think that was an 18. Okay, so that's, where am I? Hang on, let me move this because it keeps moving everything. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, which is a 60, and we're on a red. And that is, oh, read a romance book. Well, that's perfect. I have quite a few on that list, so that's a good one. And let's do one last roll. Everything keeps falling, so just remember that I'm on 65. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're on a orange, and that is ask your guide for a recommendation. Okay, so basically I need to ask Esme, because she's on my team, well, she's Team Elephant, for a recommendation. So let's go and do that. So that was nice and easy. I got 3 more prompts. So overall, I got 4, 5, 6, I got 7 books for this readathon. So that actually isn't bad. I can handle that. I've completed it. So we've done the readathon because I've completed it. And on top of that, I will be reading a Desert Vibe book once I get to it. So the first prompt I got was yellow, which was read a 5-star prediction. I'm cheating a little bit because I've given this whole series 5 stars, so I'd be quite shocked if this wasn't. But I am doing 5-star prediction for The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Now, I am absolutely shocked that I haven't even got round to reading this. Like, I got this in March. I had this on my TBR, I'm sure, for April, but I just never got round to it because I don't know why. I just wasn't in the mood for it. I think because I was poorly and everything, I just wasn't in that brain space. But I need to know what happened. Now, a lot of people aren't impressed with this book, so I'm a little bit like, oh god, but I know a few people weren't keen on the first book, loved the second book, were a bit miffed, weren't so keen on the third. So I'm kind of like, well, I love the first 3, so I'm feeling that I will probably love this. So I'm giving this a 5-star prediction, and I hope I'm right because I've given every single book 5 stars. I don't want to have to make this anything lower. But this is the 4th book, it's the last book in the Blood and Ash series, where we follow Poppy and Castile, and Castile basically in the last book has got kidnapped again, like how he did in the first book. Well, not in the first book, but how he did prior. And Poppy's got all of these god abilities and all that, and she's basically now kicking ass because she is a queen. She's kicking ass, and she's now fighting her own mother to get her husband back and to basically end this whole war. So yeah, like, I'm very excited to read it, and I'm in the right mood to read this because it was a fantasy romance. I'm hoping we will get romance in here. Hopefully, it doesn't take the whole book for Poppy and Castile to get together, but you never know. So 5-star prediction for that. Perfect. Then we had read a romance book. I have all of these books that I just mentioned that I'm going to read, so I will just use one of them to do that. And then lastly, for the last prompt is orange, and it was ask your guide for a recommendation. So I've just gone in Discord chat and tagged Esme and just said, I've handled this prompt, can you give me any book recommendations? So whenever she replies back, I'll have a look at what she's done and I'll determine which book I fancy. If I've read, like, hopefully I haven't read any of the ones she suggests and all that. So I will get back to you when I've got something on that. So they're the remaining prompts, which is brilliantly. That works well because actually, in hindsight, I am still, this has got romance in. Yeah, this will work well. Like the books that I've actually picked for this, I will do. My only issue with is the Wrath of the Dawn. It's just I can't. It's taking me hard to pronounce. I am oohing and eyeing to see whether I can get it on audiobook just to help, just with the pronunciations. But I don't know. We'll see. But for further ado, let's get straight into this vlog, and I am going to start with Milo and Marcus at the end of the world because that's what I'm in the mood for. So let's go and read this, and I'll update you with my thoughts and feelings. And yeah, I hope you enjoy this vlog. Hello, my loves. I thought I would come on and give you a reading update because I've got quite a lot to say. So I am halfway through Milo and Marcus at the End of the World by Kevin Christopher Snipes. I am on chapter 23, page 177, and I am absolutely adoring this book. It is so cute and funny at times, and it's just a lovely story, but as well, there's some important topics that are being brought up in here, which is just equally brilliant. And I don't know, I just can't stop smiling, and I just think, oh, and I'm just loving the character's growth, and I don't know, it's just a really cute, easy read, and I'm loving it. And like, literally, I've read half of the book. I've also done baking, and I'm shocked that I'm here. It's such an easy, quick read. Like, honestly, I'm flying through the book. Am I on part 3? Yeah, I'm on part 3 now. Like, there's some short chapters and then there's some long chapters, which I quite like, which I think is why I'm, like, breezing through it quickly. But basically, the plot. We follow our main character, Milo, who basically is going back to his, like, I think last year at school, senior year or something. He's waiting for his best friend, Van. And like, she's really late, and he's like, oh my god, like, what's happening? Like, it's like the end of the world. Like, she's not here, she's always on time, blah blah blah. She turns up and she brings this mysterious bloke who turns out to be Marcus. And basically, Milo and Marcus, has something going on, and you're like, oh, like, they obviously know each other. They both seem very awkward, and Van's very excited. And basically, they all rush to go and get lunch from, like, a diner because the last years of school can have lunch out, but they need to be back in time. So they go and get food. It's really, really awkward. And then they come back, and basically it feels like there's an earthquake. And it turns out that there's been, like, what are they called? Like, not landslide. It might be a landslide, but I can't remember what they're called now. I can't remember unless I, like, flick through the book. But, like, basically just, like, some landslide in the road happens, and they all get stuck. And like, we end up getting a flashback to 3 years ago. And basically 3 years ago, Milo, Marcus and Van went to a Bible camp. So Milo is extremely religious. His family is very religious. Van's family is, well, father is. Her mum, not so much. But Van's, like, at Bible camps also sort of realising she doesn't want to, like, she's not saying she's an atheist, but she just doesn't want to go to church. She wants to do, like, focus on other things and stuff like that. But Milo is extremely religious. Marcus isn't. He's a complete atheist, but he's been sent there purely because of his father, who isn't class A dick, basically. And basically, they all become really friends. They hang out at Bible camp whenever they can. But Milo and Marcus were roommates, and basically grew really, 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 really close. They ended up sharing a bed together because there was a leak, and it got Marcos mattress all right, and instead of, like, getting a new one, he ended up sleeping in the same bed, like top to tail, with Milo, and they grew really, really close. And Milo started having feelings, and he was just like, oh God, like, I'm having feelings for a boy. This shouldn't happen, I'm religious, this is like, so against my religion, blah, blah, blah. And like, he wants to tell Marcus, and he gets really like set, like he's such an anxious lad, bless him. He gets all set to say something, and then Marcus all of a sudden disappears. No to say, or I'm sorry, or anything, like, just disappeared. And then obviously 3 years later, Marcus is now living in, is it Florida? I think they are Florida or whatever. He's moved. His like family's moved. His father's now the new treasurer in the church that Milo goes to, and obviously he's spending his last year at school where Van and Milo go. And it's very intense. It's very like awkward and all that. But basically, they find that they go out to like a classmates party, and in the end, Milo and Marcus have a heart and heart, and Marcus tells Milo to say that I really liked you, and Milo was like, well, I liked you too, and he went, no, I mean I really liked you. And it turns out that basically Marcus fancied Milo, and he was like getting all up to try and kiss him, but he also had no idea whether Milo actually felt the same way, because he was very on and off. And then basically the reason why he all of a sudden left was his grandfather, who he hates, but hey ho, his grandfather died, and so he had to go to the funeral, and he basically had 24 hours, and he didn't want to say his feelings in that like 24 hours, because nothing would change, sort of thing. So and anyway, they end up obviously realising they both admit they like each other, and so they are currently dating, but neither of them are out. Neither of them have really, well, Milo especially hasn't actually been with another boy. I think up until he met Marcus, I don't think he's ever been interested in a boy. I'm not 100% sure, but obviously for Milo, it's a complete big no. His religion is like that's a sin. So, like, he's obviously battling his feelings with Marcus and thinking, oh, if he just, like, dabbles with it, he'll soon grow out of it and all that. But I think he's also realising that, actually, no, he's in love with him and all that. Marcus is obviously, he's not openly gay, but he's accepted it. And obviously with him not being religious, which I think might be one of the reasons why he's not religious. But alongside all of that, these weird things are happening in their town or country or whatever you want to call it. So they had, like, that landslide. They went to the beach, and it was an absolute boiling hot summery day, and then all of a sudden it went hailstoning, and I've literally just ended a chapter where a meteor has just crashed into Marcus's car. Luckily they weren't in there. So like Mayo's there thinking like, God's punishing me, God's like, because like literally they just kissed and then that meteor thing happened. So he's like, this is God's way of saying this is a sin, don't do it, and all that. So we obviously got this. We've got like a new like boy romance. They're obviously not out. They're like obviously confused with their feelings, but also they want to embrace their feelings and like be with this person and all that. They haven't told Van or anything like that. And then alongside that, we've got this world going completely weird. And then we also have talks about racism, religion, and I am not a religious person. I don't go to church. I do have faith, but I have my own kind of faith, if you say it. But I don't go to church. I don't overly believe in a God. However, there are times when I'm in dire need and stuff, I have prayed, so take it as you must. So it's quite interesting to have someone who's really, really religious talking about their faith and what they believe, and then them sort of like thinking like, I still have this faith, I still believe this, but I'm doing something that's classed as a sin. And then we have Marcus, who's obviously an atheist, doesn't believe in anything and all that. And it's quite funny because the stuff that Marcus has said is very much my opinion. Like some of the things he said, it's something that I believe myself. I'm not saying all religious people are like that, but like there are some that are heavily, and they still go by the Bible and this and that. Whereas you get some other religious people who are very lenient and stuff. Like my best friend is Catholic, and like all these things like sex before marriage and all of that. It's like no, but she pretty much has, in hindsight, if you really go into it, has sinned. However, she still has the faith. She still does her religious things that she does. So it's sort of like. So like the conversation with religion and like being really faithful and being an not faithful. It's just really interesting, and usually I'm a bit like hit and miss with religious books, but I'm really loving this because it is making you think, and it is making you think of your beliefs or your faith or whatever it is you have, and it is that very simple thing that these two boys are pretty much being brought up as being gay is sin and all of that, and they're obviously realising that they have feelings for a boy. Why is that wrong? So that's really interesting. We've obviously got a little bit of like racism talk, purely with Marcus's dad is very racist towards Marcus's mother and all of that, because she is like, she's I think she's from Cuba, but she was brought up in America, so she's more American than anything. She was brought up knowing English rather than her native language and stuff like that. Yeah, like there's still racism and stuff like that, and obviously I think Marcus is mixed race. So we've got that. It's like it's YA. It's a YA book, but the topics that's being brought up to me feel really like adult topics, and I can't help loving this book. I can't help the messages that are being put in here. Like, it is really making me like understand people who are religious and why some people are heavily and they do this and that, and then you have ones who, you know, do have faith, but they, you know, they take it with a pinch of salt kind of thing. It's very interesting, and like the chats between what Milo and Marcus have, and then just the battle that poor Milo has. Like, you know, he knows full well if he tells his parents, like, he will be shunned out and everything. He knows full well he'll probably be kicked out of church and stuff like that, and he doesn't want that to happen. So he's battling that sort of bit of, do I be true to myself or not? And yeah, and like the fact that he's feeling like this meteor that's just hit Marcus's car is like an omen. It's one of those books where you can see the characters grow, and like I do not know how this is going to end, and I hope it ends happily and everything. But it is just it's like obviously got important topics, but it's also just reads in a way where you just feel all and ooh and cutified over it. So yeah, I'm absolutely loving this book. Like, honestly, it's given me 5-star vibes just the first half. So if it continues being as good as it is, it's definitely going to be 5 stars. I'm not going to do any more reading for the moment, purely because it's bedtime for little one. However, I am jumping on Patreon sprints at 9 o'clock. So Katrina, I can't remember which way it is now. She's doing her first ever Patreon sprints, which is at 9, so I'm going to join in on them. But I know Cassidy's got sprints going on. I think it starts 6 my time. So if they're still on, I might pop on and do some sprints while I'm waiting for Katarina's ones. So I might do them for a couple of hours and then jump onto the 9 o'clock ones afterwards. But yeah, so I will be reading. It'll just be a little bit later on, and I honestly think I'm going to finish this in sprints, and then I will probably start the Unhoneymooners afterwards, I think, and then go from there. But I'm absolutely loving this book. It's just amazing, and I'm glad I picked it up because it's just the kind of book I need right now. So yeah, I think next time I'll update you is probably when I finish it, and I'll give you my final thoughts. But until then, I will catch you later. I just have to share this bit in this book that I just read because it's just so true. So, long story cut short, the meteor, basically Marcus had to call his parents, and obviously he was trying to protect Milo, and it was pretty much like, go, like, I don't want you to get into trouble or anything. In the end, Milo calls Van, and they make up a thing, and basically Van pretends to be Marcus's girlfriend. And there's this whole thing, and then obviously they found out that Marcus is very close to Milo, and they think he's using Milo to lie for Marcus and all that. They don't believe they can be friends. Obviously, they're more than friends, but they don't know that. Anyway, Milo is currently around Marcus's house because they've got a Shakespeare assignment to do, and it's the only way that they can hang out at the minute. Anyway, it's just Marcus's mum there, Mrs. Price, who's the nice one. The father's awful. And anyway, she just asks about Van, wanting to know about her. She says, I know, so this is what Milo said to her. I know you and Mr. Price have some concerns about Van. I began, and I get it. My parents had the same concerns. Well, have actually. But that's because they believe there's only one way someone could be a good person, and that's if they go to church. And his mum goes, you don't agree? And he said, I think just because someone goes to church every Sunday, that doesn't automatically make them a good person. I mean, there are certain people at Pop that you probably wouldn't want to run into the other 6 days of the week, if you know what I mean. But then there are people like Van who don't go to church or believe in organised religion, but who are some of the best people I know. I guess for me, a person's actions are more important than what they claim to believe. Someone can say they're a Christian all they want, but if they're not living their life in a way that puts other people first or makes the world a better place, then what good are their beliefs? But Van, I've never met anyone with such a big heart. She's looked out for me and protected me and been a better friend to me than I have been to her, and that's how she is with everyone she cares about. She always puts other people first. She always tries to help because that's who she is. She's not the kind of person who can be happy if other people are admirable. And then he goes, Van, hang on. Yeah, Van once told me that her idea of a perfect world is a world where everyone succeeds, where everyone is living their best life. So every day she tries to make the world a better place. She wants that as much as anyone who goes to pop or any other church. She might even want it more because when Van helps someone, she doesn't do it because it's what is expected of her. She doesn't do it for any sort of reward or because she's trying to get into heaven or because it's what she was told. She was told what God wants. She does it because doing the right thing is right, and that's enough for her. That's such a good thing because it's true. You know, you can have people who are religious and, you know, you can have some religious people who, like, you know, I'm just using as an example, I don't know whether this actually happens, but I'm sure there might be some religious people who completely hate gays and decide to kill them. They think they're doing the right thing, but isn't the whole killing thing one of, like, the thou shall not kill scenario? So, I really like that. That was a really important thing. I've just, dogged it down to go back to, but I thought that actually really explains things, and it's sort of something that I agree with, in my opinion. Yeah, I just had to tell you that little bit, but I'm really enjoying this book. I am on custody sprints at the minute, but at 9 o'clock I'm going to go on Katerina's sprints. So, yeah. But I'm just currently reading and eating snacks, like I always do, basically. But, yeah. I will update you when I finish, unless I find any more quotes that I really like and have to share. I just finished a book. Oh, it was so good. Honestly, it's so good. Like, yay to kids standing up for themselves, that's all I'm going to say. It actually ended happy, and not in a way where, like, everything's fine and dandy, but more in a sense that, like, you gotta deal with it kind of thing. So, Milo came out to they both came out to their parents. Milo came out, and obviously his parents are very, very religious. So his mum wasn't overly bad about it. His dad was like, you're nearly an adult, you need to make your own choices and your own mistakes. So that was that. Marcus's mum finally stood up for herself and her son, and pretty much was like, no. And like, I love the fact that, like, the world pretty much was, like, literally, like, it looked like the end of the world. Like, they decided to run away in the middle of a hurricane. But in doing so, it actually made both parents listen. But, oh, it was just wonderful. It was just one of those books where you're like, you hope for the best and all of that, and, like, you can understand everyone's side of, like, their side of the story while the parents are like, no, and all that. Like, I can get it. But at the same time, it's like, you know, come on. And just, like, the talks about religion and, like, what's right, what's wrong. Like, you know, just because you're not religious doesn't mean you are a bad person and all that. I just really like that. And it was just, and, like, just, like, friendships, and, oh, it was just brilliant. 5 stars. If you haven't read this, I don't know if it's out. Editing me will tell me whether it's out or not. But if you haven't read this, you need to, because it's just such a wholesome, cute, feel-good book, but with important messages at the same time. And yeah, I just loved it. 5 stars. 5 stars. I'm now going to just have a quick pause. And I'm going to go and pick up my next book, which is going to be the Unhoneymooners, I think. Yeah, we're going to read that, and I'm going to start that in the other patron sprints. So I'm going to go and do that now because it's nearly 9 o'clock. But yeah, 5 stars, loved it. Everyone needs to read this book, in my opinion. So, yeah. Hello, my loves. I haven't updated you at all today. I apologise. I basically woke up this morning feeling absolutely rubbish. My ears were really hurting. I had a pounding headache, and I was just like, wonderful. So I ended up falling back to sleep and didn't wake up till 10:30. And then it was a mad rush to get ready because then I had my volunteer job to do, which thankfully is just on the phone, but still. And then once I'd done that, it literally was a quick run to go and pick up my daughter because we were picking her up early today as she's at her dad's this weekend, but they're gone to Cornwall. Don't really know why. Like, all I know is that his parents are spending 2 weeks at like a chalet sort of caravan thing in Penzance in Cornwall, and he decided to go down for the weekend and take Alice because obviously it's his weekend. So bless him, he travelled from Wiltshire to here, and to here to get Alice to Penzance, which is a 3-hour journey from my house to Penzance. So he's probably done a 5-6 hour journey, and then he's going to have to do that all the way back on Sunday. So whatever, his choice. But so I spent time with her before he picked her up because he was picking her up at 2:30, so I picked her up at 1:15. And then once he left, I quickly went to the library as I've got some holds that I needed to pick up before I was going to get put back tomorrow. But as much as I had a busy day, I did finally finish The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, and I absolutely love this book. It's funny, like, I love dark romances. I love the smut in it. However, there's just something about reading the cosy, fluffy romances that's not extremely smutty. It just gives you that heartwarming, feel-good feeling, and you just can't stop going, oh, that was sweet. And that was exactly what I felt like here. So basically, I'm actually going to use this book as well. So I had for a prompt for forced proximity, and I put all roads lead here. And I made it fit slightly because they did end up sharing a bed, and it wasn't like a sexual thing at the time. It was because where she was staying, there was a massive big leak, and so they couldn't do anything. However, I'm going to use this instead because literally our main character and the male character, love interest, they actually had to share, like, stay in a hotel. They had to share a room and a whole hotel room together for 10 days. So I'm kind of going now if that is definitely forced proximity. Basically, we follow Olive, whose identical twin sister got married. Her twin sister's very much someone who loves freebies, so she like gets loads of these vouchers that have freebies. She signs up to these like competitions and wins them, and basically she ends up getting a wedding, all the food, the place, all the dresses for free. She didn't hardly have to pay anything, but they ended up having a seashell buffet, and then for everyone apart from 2, and everyone in the wedding venue apart from the 2 who didn't have it all got the pretty much were puking and diarrhea because they had that fish toxin that you can get. I can't remember what it was called. So in the end, Olive and who is the maid of honour and the best man, Ethan, both are well, and so they end up taking this honeymoon trip because, again, it was a free holiday, but there were no refunds or anything, all that. You had to go. You had to go, basically. There was no, like, oh, you can reschedule, blah, blah, blah. So they end up going. They're complete nemesis. They hate each other, supposedly, but after a while it turns out that they don't hate each other, and then basically Olive finds out that Ethan actually has had a thing for her, but his brother, who is her brother-in-law, basically said don't go near her and all that, and then things come to light, and yeah, and it was just really good, the banter, and it was also like showing, like, it had like a culture bit. It obviously had it was very a diverse read. I just loved the family, like the whole of Olive's family are so tight knit, and if everyone's like having a bad day, they're all there. It was just lovely, and the ending, like, it was just the perfect ending as well. It was just lovely. So I'm giving this 5 stars, and I love it. Now we're on to my next book, and I genuinely don't know what to read. So I'm actually going to take this evening to just watch trashy TV with my parents. Tomorrow we are out. So I think tomorrow I'll make a decision of what book I want to read, and then I can read it in the car and stuff like that, and in the evening. But for now, I think I'm just going to chill, just because I can't make a decision on what book I want to read at this minute. So I think I'm going to just sleep on it, and then decide when I wake up what kind of mood I'm in. Like, I'm still in the mood to read a romance. Part of me is feeling like reading The War of Two Queens, because I do desperately want to read it. And then another part of me is actually kind of in the mood to start lists. And then I'm also like, oh, this is quite simple, but I also know if I pick this up, it'll be done within an hour. So I think my options is Untold Night and Day, Other People's Clothes, and The War of Two Queens. So I think they're the 3 that I'm drawing to. So I will sleep on it, and then in the morning hopefully I've made a decision and I'll let you know. But now I'm going to go and put my PJs on, get some food, and go and watch some trashy TV. So I will catch up with you all sometime tomorrow. Morning, my loves. So, thought I'd come on and give you a little bit of a reading update. Haven't got much, but a little bit. So I decided to read A Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I'm on chapter 3, page 51. Now, I'm very early in this book, so I can't exactly tell you whether I'm loving it or whether I'm hating it, because not much has really gone on to give me those thoughts. However, I already feel like I know what's going to happen in this book, and I already sort of feel like the beginning possibly is this person, and I'm just like, I don't know, I just got a feeling that I know what's going to happen in this book, and I'm pretty much hoping that it's going to be a wow moment in regards to what happens. Otherwise I'm going to be a bit like, oh well, I knew what was going on, nothing spectacular has happened. And I don't want to do that because this is a very hyped and loved book, and I'm like, I don't want to be a person and turn around and say I really didn't get the vibe. But just to tell you what's going on, basically we are following our main character, Olive Smith, who is a third-year PhD candidate student in Stanford. Basically she's learning science and all that. She's like a proper massive geek. I love the fact that we've got, like, you know, a scientific sort of background plot, but I'm not gonna lie, I do not understand anything. I was never good at science, so it kind of has gone woof over my head. But basically, the beginning of this book, we're in a prologue, and it's Olive sort of getting an interview to possibly become a candidate in as a PhD student and all of that. And I assumed she was having a full-on freak out crying moment. She was freaking out, but not so much crying. Apparently she had expired contact lenses in, and they were really irritating her eyes, and so she was crying and everything, but it wasn't like she was sad. I don't know whether it was like that's happening, but she's also crying as well, but whatever. So she takes them out, and everything's blurry because I'm guessing she needs glasses or something, but doesn't wear them, so she has contact lenses. I don't know. Everything's blurry, and basically she's doing all this, and this bloke, because they're like, "What are you doing?" It turns out like she thought she was using a bathroom. It isn't. It's actually like a place where the professors and scientists dump their like chemicals and all that. So anyway, she ends up having this like conversation with this bloke. Like, she doesn't know who it is. She thinks he's like the last year student sort of thing. I was like, I don't think he is. Like, he didn't admit he was a student, but he did admit he was there, sort of thing, and he gave me like a teacher vibe. And as I got into this book, I'm wondering whether it's our main male character, Adam. So basically that happens. She like has this conversation with someone, and then that pretty much is it. And then we are, I can't remember whether it's 2 years 11 months later, which is chapter 1. We are literally her sucking face with a bloke, and it turns out that the person she kissed was Adam Carlson, which is one of the professors in Stanford. So the reason why she kissed him was because of her best friend. So her best friend Anne, she basically likes this bloke. This bloke likes her, but girl code and all that, because the bloke that she likes is Olive's ex. Now, technically, they weren't actually in a relationship. They weren't serious or anything like that. I'm not 100% sure whether it was first date or whether Olive and Jeremy had a couple of dates, but they weren't like at that stage of being in a relationship. They were just getting to know each other. They were in a dating stage, but basically they were on a date, and Anne was there, and they were bowling. So I'm not sure whether it was first date. I'm not sure whether it was like first date meeting a friend. I don't know. Like, honestly, if it was first date, then I'm genuinely like, why would you take your best friend with you? Like, no disrespect to my best friend, but if I was on a date, I wouldn't be taking her. But basically, Jeremy, which is the bloke she was dating or seeing or whatever you would like to call it, like, it wasn't a relationship. Anyway, Jeremy and Anne hit it off. They had banter, they had those in common, and by the end of like Olive and Jeremy's date, Jeremy couldn't stop looking at Anne. And so obviously Olive was like, you know what, this isn't working, we're not right for each other, and it's very clear that you like Anne, and you know that you two are better equipped. And Anne was like, no, like, no, girl code, that doesn't happen and all that. So Olive has been trying to get Anne to just like give up. Like, she doesn't care, like, she doesn't have any feelings like that of Jeremy. Like, she wants Anne to be with Jeremy, and Anne is just like, no. So she ends up basically saying to Anne that she's going on a date on Friday, and Anne doesn't believe her. And then she was just going to pretend that she had this date and blah blah blah. But she literally was in a corridor walking to do some, I think she was going to try and do something like to do with her like paper she's doing or something. I'm not 100% sure, but she spotted Anne. Anne didn't see her, luckily, but she's like, oh crap, I need to do something. So she literally picked the first person she could find and kissed him. And then obviously Anne saw, and then she like ran off, like quite shocked. And then it was only until that happened that Ollie was like, who like looked at the person she actually kissed, and it turned out to be Dr. Carlson, or Adam, and he is very much known as Dr. Asshole, because apparently he's quite a mean teacher and has made students cry. He's made students actually leave Stanford and all of that. And she's like, shit, what have I just done? And basically, like, they have this like whole conversation, and like she ends up having to explain to him why she kissed him, because she honestly thought he was going to go to HR and like obviously like make a complaint about her and all that, which could potentially make her leave Stanford and all that. And anyway, and it's very clear, like, he knew who she was. Like, he even said her name, and she never told him her name. So I honestly think he is the man she met 2.5 years ago. Like, I think that's the person she took to in the toilet. That wasn't actually a toilet. Whether I'm right or not, I don't know. So that happened, and she was like, oh crap. But like, she never found a complaint or anything. And then she obviously had to speak to Anne, and she was just like, oh, it's just started and all that. Like, and her plan was basically to just like pretend and then like say, oh, it broke up. So Anne decides to actually, I think she's given Jeremy a shot, because she's like, okay, Olive's not interested in all that. She tells Jeremy, who Jeremy then tells someone else, and then by the end of the day, the whole of Stanford University knows that Olive and Dr. Carlson, or Adam, are in a relationship. And then obviously Olive is freaking out, going shit. So she pretty much goes to Dr. Carlson and says, this has gone on, what do we do? And he goes, well, we'll just continue with the farce, we'll continue fake dating. And she's like, but, you know, if we're going to do that, that means we have to actually look like we're dating, we have to look like blah blah blah. It turns out that this will actually work well for him too, because apparently the university, like Stanford, has stopped some of his money. I think they stopped like £4 million of like his stuff that he's doing, because he basically got a grant from another university, but now they've been poaching him, and they think that Adam's gonna go over, so they've stopped his money and saying, no, you're here, you can't do that, like, we need proof that you're gonna stay here, sort of thing. But like, he rents, so he hasn't got proof to say that actually he owns a house, so you know, he hasn't got a wife or kids or anything. So he's basically like, you know, this fake relationship actually will work well, because they will probably start thinking that actually, no, I'm here for the long run, blah blah blah. So that's where we're at. They've obviously agreed that they're fake dating, and yeah, like, I got a feeling that he is very much I hate everyone but you. Like, I already feel like he's got some attraction to Olive, and the fact that he didn't care like what she had requested, like, he was like very much, yeah, that's fine. So I kind of feel like he likes her, but she doesn't like him quite yet. But I got quite excited, because I thought, oh, he's a professor, she's a student, is it going to be a teacher-student moment? But yes, he's a professor, and he obviously works at Stanford, but he's not her professor or her supervisor. Like, she's got her own professor who supervises all her stuff and blah blah blah, which I think, and that's like for the whole of her year until she gets like a place or something. So yes, he's a professor, but it's not a no, because he's not hers, he's not supervising her and all of that, and won't ever be. So I got excited thinking, oh, it's going to be one of those taboo, forbidden romances, but it's not. So that's where I am. Like I said, not much is happening. Like, I kind of got a feeling that it's going to be like a fake date, and then they start like actually getting feelings for one another, and then either something crap happens and they break up, and then they get back together. Something like that. It's just going to be like that. But I am hoping there's going to be like a wow factor. Like, I have heard that this has got some steamy scenes in, but then I have seen other people say that some of the scenes, like the sex scenes, are just ridiculous and cringy and just like no, no. So I don't know where I'm going to be with that. But like I said, at the moment, like I am early on. I can't say that I love it. I can't say that I hate it because nothing really is happening. I can say though that I'm not vibing with either characters. Like I don't really care for them. So I don't know. Like at the minute, like the 2 books that I've read so far, I've like loved it from get go. Like I've got a vibe that I'm gonna really enjoy this. With this one, I not got that, but I'm kind of hoping it might just be because it is just at the start. It is setting a scene. We've just got them saying agreeing to fake dating. So I'm hoping more drama and funniness is going to happen now. So we'll see. I'm going to go and sit outside because it's an absolute glorious sunny hot day again. So I'm going to sit down and read. Alice is back home today, but I don't know what time because obviously they have to go from Penzance to here, which is like a 3-hour drive. So I have said to him, like, give me a rough estimate of what time you're coming, and if you're stuck in traffic, let me know as well. But hopefully she won't be late because obviously she's got school tomorrow. But yeah, so I'm going to read, and I'll probably read until she's back home, and then I will update you probably later on. I'm hoping I can finish this book today because, yeah, I kind of, at the moment, I'm just like, at the moment, nothing's really well affecting me, but I'm hoping it'll pick up, but we'll see. But I'm going to go and sit in the sun and read this, and I'll update you later on. Good evening, my loves. Excuse the fact that I am in my bathroom. Alice is fast asleep in my room. She's not doing well, so I didn't want to wake her up. Basically, I don't know what's going on, but she's got a really sore ankle, like throbbing pain. She can't walk on it. It's been going on for like just over a week now. It seems to be getting worse, so I decided that she's not going to go to school tomorrow. I'm going to take her to the community hospital that we've got here and just get her checked out because honestly, I feel like they're probably going to have to do an X-ray now just to see whether something's happened to her and we don't know or whatever. But she's in a lot of pain this weekend. Being in Cornwall as much as she had tons of fun, it's really knackered her out. Like she was asleep by 6:15, so so she's in my bed. I just didn't want to wake her up. But I just finished The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and I've given it 3 stars. I kind of feel like if I hadn't read other romances and sort of this was like my first romance I read in a while or something, I probably would have given it a higher rating. But I wasn't overly keen on Olive. I kind of felt like she was quite annoying, her character, in my opinion. I was just like, ugh, I don't really care for her. I did like Adam. I kind of felt like Adam, it was very clear with Adam that he really, really liked Olive, and I was right because the beginning bit with this mysterious bloke, it was Adam, and Adam fell in love with her then and there, and he's been falling in love with her ever since. But like obviously he's a professor, she is a student. He was worried that like if she comes in, it might be in the class. Blah blah. Anyway, I wasn't keen on Olive. The romance side of things, nothing wrong with that. I wasn't really bothered by that. It was quite cute and all that. I didn't particularly like her best friend Anne. She was very much forcing Olive to do lots of PDA scenes with Adam, and I was just like, what's going on here? It genuinely was like she was, it sounds really rude, but it felt like she was getting off her best friend doing some sexual things. Like it wasn't sexual, like one scene was them kissing, another scene was putting sun cream on him. But there was like, it just felt really weird and awkward, and I was just like, why? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not big on PDAs, in some sense. Like I don't mind holding hands, I don't mind being snuggled up, I don't mind the odd occasional kiss, but like a full-on making out session is like a no-no for me. I'm just like, and sometimes I feel like if you're doing full-on PDAs to space, it's like a false advertisement sort of thing to say, oh look, we're happily in love, but actually that's my my love life's not brilliant, so we're not going on there. So that kind of a bit annoyed me. Like I actually really liked Adam and Olive together. They really got on well. They had it was Grumpy versus Sunshine, but it was also very much Adam was I hate everyone but you, which I like. I kind of like that. And I also like that actually while he was with Olive, he started changing, like he was a better person, like he started to actually realise being completely mean to his students wasn't actually the best like approach sort of thing, and thanks to Olive he wouldn't have realised that. There was this one bit about this Dr. Tom who, I don't really want to go into, don't want to spoil it for anyone who was planning to read it or whatever, but there was this bit, like if you know what I mean, you know what I mean, if you've read it you know what I mean about this Tom bloke, and I was just like, I instantly could suspected something dodgy was going on, and then when he said what he said to Olive, and I was just like, oh, like I need something a bit more, like it was very much, I could just see everything was coming, like I didn't really, like there wasn't anything like nasty broke up wise, like you know it kind of came to the point that they both liked each other, but she was also very much like, you know, she needs to tell him the truth and this truth's gonna make or break them sort of thing. It was very much, I could see where everything was going. There was nothing really amazingly like, oh wow, and I'm sorry, but the flipping sex scenes was cringy as anything. Like I wish I actually like dog-eared just so I could share the quote. It was just like some of the things that Adam said, and then there's one bit which I remember actually seeing someone say about this on a vlog they did on BookTube. I just can't remember for the love of life who it was now. But she said, you know, nobody can get a boob in their mouth, the whole boob in a bloke's mouth. It doesn't happen. Even if you've got small boobs. From my existence, I have an ass. I don't have much boobs, but still, a bloke wouldn't be able to fit my boob in their mouth. It's just. And it was, like, I saw some reviews, and I remember saying, like, considering this is, like, a scientific book and all of that, that was just absolutely stupid. And it was so cringing, and I thought, you don't say that. It was just, some of the things that he said, like Adam said, I was just like, oh, God, if someone said that to me, I would have been turned off, not turned on. And it was just, like, it was awful. Like, I kind of get why people said this has got some spice scenes in it, because, in some sense, dirty talk and all that. But I was just like, no, this is just cringing and awful and made me uncomfortable. And I was just like, if I was in that situation, I'd be completely turned off. And I just, like, it was. The minute I read about this boob bit, like, I knew that there's something about this because I was seeing what this person said on BookTube. But I was kind of like, oh, maybe it was just something she didn't get, like, but, like, it might be different. But when I literally got there, I was like, nah, I'm on her side. Like, that is just, it wouldn't happen. And it's just not a turn on. That is just an absolute no. And it kind of just went downhill from then, because I was like, no, this is just, it wasn't good in my opinion. It wasn't my kind of book. And part of me feels like, because I've read the Unhoneymooners and Milo and Marcus, like I really enjoyed those books, and like from the get-go, and like it was quite cute romance. Whether it's just because of that and I'm reading this, I'm like, no, this is not my jam, or not. Like I kind of feel like maybe if I read this, like, you know, if this was my first romance, I read it like last month or something before all my other romances, I probably might have loved it. But the only bit I really liked about this, and I was actually worried I wasn't, because it was very science oriented, and I don't like science, and I don't know any other stuff, but I actually was quite fascinated with science stuff and the STEM stuff, and I really loved that we actually had a woman, and how much, like, and the sort of representation was saying that, you know, you don't get many women doing it, it's like a very male thing, and that why should it be, like, blah blah blah, and also the diversity side of things. So I actually quite liked that, and I actually, that's why I gave this 3 stars, because of that. But in hindsight, minus that, this probably be a 1.5, 2 star. But yeah, it just wasn't for me. I'm sorry. Like, to be fair, I am intrigued in reading her other book, which is Love on a Brain, just because it's a different trope, and I'm kind of like, oh, you know. So I am interested in reading the other book, but it's one of those ones where, like, I'll get the book, like, from the library. However, I'm also like, you know, I'm not expecting brilliant things. Like, it's just a decent book to read if you're not in the mood to read anything, but you want to read something. That's kind of the vibe I'm getting with the books. Like, you know, I wouldn't personally recommend this to people. I know everyone loves this book, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not something I would keep. It's like something I'd be like, you know, if you're in the mood to read romance, this is very easy. It wasn't for me. It really wasn't. And I just can't get over the cringy sex moments. Like, I was just like, oh God, no. So we're going to wrap up this vlog, because might as well. So I read Milo and Marcus at the End of the World, gave that 5 stars, absolutely loved it, was amazing. I then read The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, gave that 5 stars, I really enjoyed that too. And then The Hypothesis, 3 stars. Like, if I'm going to go with my favourite book, I'm actually torn between Milo and Unhoneymooners. I felt like with The Unhoneymooners, I had more of a laugh and more of a fun time, and I read that very quickly. Whereas I think with Milo, I did enjoy it, but there was certain moments where it sort of lagged a bit. And I think with Milo, it was because it did approach very important topics that it was sort of serious in some sense as well. So I think both of them, like, I think for the Unhoneymooners with the romance and just the fun time I had, like, that's on top of, like, you know, I love that. It was a brilliant, easy read. But in regards to Milo and Marcus book, you know, I did enjoy it and I really appreciated the topics that was mentioned. So I think they're both on par, but in regards to enjoyment, I think, and like the wild time I had with Unhoneymooners, it's a bit further up than Milo and Marcus, because Milo and Marcus did talk about important topics about religion, about being queer, but being really Christian, and, you know, it being a no-no and all of that. And so both books really different, but both 5 stars. So yeah, a good read for all out. But yeah, The Love Hypothesis, I kind of was expecting it to be a flop. I wasn't 100% sure whether it was going to be my jam, especially the first 2 chapters. I was just like, yeah, I'm not getting that. I really love this book already. But you can't always love a book, and everyone's got different tastes. This wasn't my taste. But yeah, anyway, thank you for watching this vlog. Will be another one. There's going to be, my next vlog actually is going to be after this. I'm going to actually do a 72-hour readathon, but it's like a smut readathon because there's a smut den readathon. So that's going to be my next vlog that you'll see, and that's going to be dark romance books, so that's going to be a fun time. But yeah, thank you for watching this vlog, and I'll see you again soon.